Dave? There's Dave.
Hey,
I'm coming
Dave.
back. Yes, I'm here.
Hi, David.
Judy still can't get on.
So I'm thinking, what's different?
Has Judy tried the phone?
She's trying to reinstall and do everything else. I don't know if she's tried the phone.
The phone would give her everything except the visual, so she could use the conference call approach.
Okay.
That wouldn't work for me.
The first phone number in the email didn't connect for me, but the second phone number and the one that's in the chat will work.
Yes, this one does not work.
Both of them.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah.
Next month we all go to Judy's house. That's all we're gonna do. We're having a meeting at Judy's house.
Yeah. This is the second month she hasn't been able to get on.
We're happy to do a one-on-one with her next time. We'll do a one-on-one.
Well,
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll arrange for a test call ahead of time and for anybody that's had trouble. And then we can make sure that everybody can get in okay.
Did Dorothy get on tonight?
You know what? She was going to try by phone, but I haven't seen her or heard from her.
No, I don't see her.
So, okay. Everybody see the presentation
Yep.
that I'm sharing? Yep. Okay. All right. Well, how about we get started? I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping to start with. I think everybody here on this call knows who I am. I'm Teresa McDonald. I'm the club Sloan. Every so often we have some guests and I forget to introduce myself. So anyway, here we go. So in terms of housekeeping, we are recording this session and we just started recording about 2 minutes ago. If you don't want to be in the recording, turn off your video and then you will not be seen, okay? We have, if you want to ask questions, there are 2 different ways in which you can ask questions. One is there's something on your screen that allows you to raise your hand. So if you have a technical question or you're trying to do something or you have a problem, do a raise your hand and Marilyn will answer your question. If you have a question that is going to be for Marco or for me or about the content of the presentation, then go to chat and type your question. And what we will do is do a halt at some point and answer everybody's questions, okay? I think we only have 2 co-hosts tonight. I think Morag may join us a little bit later, but we've got Angela and Marilyn, and they'll be helping me along. And then lastly, there are 2 different modes that you can view this whole presentation, speaker mode and gallery mode. If you put in the, if you go up to the right-hand area of your screen, you can switch between the 2 different modes. And one gives you just the speakers, so it's larger and the presentation is larger. And the gallery mode allows you to see all of the other people that are in the session as well, okay? So you've got 2 different modes and you can do whatever you want. Okay, let's get started. So our first wine, and if you picked up your kits today, you should all have this, and it's courtesy of the Wine Rack. We have a Growers Rosé Cider. So it has a bit of wine in it, a bit of sparkling. And what I would like to say is Santé or cheers. Okay, kind of a quiet cheers because everybody's muted. Okay, wonderful. So in your bag, you should have some potato chips in your kit bag. And we're working on getting the commercial packages of chips for next time. But Carl and Anne and others that are here today package them all for you. So you've got the Growers Rosé Cider, and just to let you know, 2 other sparkling wines that we've had from the Wine Rack over the past year are the Jackson Triggs Entourage Brut, which is one of my personal favorites, and the Jackson Triggs Couve Close as well. So one is similar to a Prosecco, the Couve Close, and one is similar to, made in the same way as a Champagne, and a great wine. Okay. So last month was our first virtual meeting, and we had Guillaume Blissom from Gabriel Meffray Winery. So we had a winemaker from the Rhone Valley, which was awesome. And it was our first attempt. We didn't have any food or wine or anything. So each month we're improving a wee bit. Coming up next month, we have Hobbs and Company that are going to have some international wines. And I'm not sure who the presenter is yet, but we will have a presenter from there, and we will have some wines and some food pairings. And then in July, I just wanted to alert you, we have, if you remember, last July and the previous July, we had local wineries and our three chefs, local chefs, that made foods for us. Well, we're going to have the local chefs, and they're going to put something together for you and even do an online cooking class so that you can make things yourself. So I'm really excited about that. But we have two really good events coming up in the next 2 months. So I'm kind of happy about that. It's a bit tricky in these times to get people and get wines and get foods and get the presenters and everything. But I'm really excited about the next couple of months. But even before that, I think we have a great presenter tonight. Marco Piccolo is the Director of Winemaking and Operations for our Terra Wines. And for those of you that may not be aware, our Terra Wines owns Jackson Triggs and Inniskillen and the Wine Rack, and they also do some premium wines as well. And so Marco was the winemaker at Jackson Triggs. We knew him from there for many years, and now he's head of winemaking and operations for all of the Arterra wines. So I'm absolutely thrilled that we have him with us tonight. Just before I turn it over to Marco, wine event promotions. So where you need to register from now on is you either go to the Burlington Wine Club events page, or when you receive your email with a link to Eventbrite, everybody pretty much has to register via Eventbrite now. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that everybody gets a kit, a wine and food pairing kit. It's not just like we're making food and going to the art gallery. We now have to get individual kits. And if you aren't registered ahead of time, then we're going to miss you. Okay? So we need to know who's coming. You need to do it by Eventbrite. And if you have any problems at all, just email me, Laurelie, Marilyn, any one of us, and we'll help you with it. But ideally the Friday before the meeting, so that we know how many people are coming, that you register. There's also a promotions page. So on the Burlington Wine Club website, there's a new page called /promotions. And any of our partners, whether they're an agency or a local winery or any kind of partner, they will post any promotions that they've got. So if there are some sales going on, or there's free deliveries or anything going on at all, check that page. And it's a great place to support our partners and to order some wines if you're running out, and have delivered typically to your door. So check out the promotions page. We also have a Facebook page, Burlington Wine Club. If you haven't been to it, please go check it out. We have an Instagram page as well, which is relatively new, and we haven't had a lot on there, but we're starting to get more and more. And lastly, we have a YouTube Burlington Wine Club session. And last month's meeting is actually posted there. So if you missed last month's wine tasting, you can go to our YouTube page and you literally just type in YouTube and then Burlington Wine Club, and it'll take you right to it. And tonight's session will be posted there as well. So if you have friends that you want to see what it is you've been up to, pass it along. Or if you missed a session, you can see it on the YouTube channel. Okay? All right. And at this point, I'm going to just introduce the 3 wines and the food pairings, and then turn it over to Marco to actually talk about them. So we have 3 white wines, the Sauvignon Blanc, the Pinot Gris, and the Chardonnay, and the 3 pairings. So in your kits, you should have had a little asparagus salad, a shrimp skewer with Chef Mike's barbecue spice on it, and with the Chardonnay, a maple cookie. Okay, so Marilyn, how do I turn it over to Marco?
Well,
Mar-
Marco is unmuted, and I don't know that he has any slides, so we'll just turn
No,
off.
so we'll
Yeah.
leave this slide up. Yeah,
Yeah, leave that slide.
if possible.
Yep, absolutely. Marco, you have the floor.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me here tonight. It's exciting. I'm in the wine I am in the wine industry now for over probably 1995. That's where I started, and I did a lot of tastings and seminars and presentations. This is the first time I'm gonna do it this way. It's absolutely stunning. That shows how the passion for wine and food can never be stopped, and there's no limits for it. There's always a way to find a way to enjoy what is, a good way to stay together and, explore our senses. The wines we're tasting tonight is the Sauvignon. Let's start with the Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc, the specific wine is from 2018. I arrived in Canada. I started working in the wine industry in Canada in 2005. That was my first vintage. It was 2004 as an internship at Enniskillen. Moved into Jackson Tricks as a head winemaker in 2005. And since we Jackson Tricks started making Sauvignon Blanc that year. Never made it before. That was the year, the mid-2000, when the industry, the Niagara region, discovered, among many other gems that we are growing here, how distinctive and precious is the Sauvignon Blanc. I've always been very supportive of the Sauvignon Blanc flavor in Niagara. So when you're asking me, oh, is it in New Zealand? Is it the old world style? It's not either or. It's a Niagara Sauvignon Blanc. And I remember since the first days when we were doing comparative tastings and having, Sancerre, Sauvignon Blancs, New Zealand, Oregon, Italian, name it. Good Sauvignon Blancs these days are coming out also from Croatia and Slovenia as well. East Europe starts to get into that clone selection. But among every wine you could have tasted, you could always recognize the Niagara Sauvignon Blanc. It was distinctive. And like it or not like it, it really didn't matter too much, because what mattered is that the wine has set a footprint on the international world of Sauvignon Blanc. The style was not the one that somebody didn't like, like if you put a Sancerre, you put a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, they're 2 different planets. So it's not that you prefer one over the chart. Sorry, it's not that one is better than the other, but it's all about preference, style. What are you drinking it with? Why are you drinking? What are you doing? Are you having a glass by yourself on a patio, or with asparagus salad, or what you're doing with it? That's a different conversation. But I think the industry won a massive battle with the Sauvignon by finding the right place where to grow it in the region. I like the Sauvignon Blanc specifically that grows towards the lake. This is one of them, and we'll go in more in details about the terroir of this vineyards later on. So first of all, we found where to grow it. Secondly, we found how to grow it. What clones are we using? What the density in the vineyards? All little details that are crucial for the quality of the product. And winemaking steps. What are we doing here? Do you want to create a wine a little bit bolder, richer, maturation on leaves, and so on, so on, so on, or something a little bit fresher? The region has proven already how strong and how good the terroir is for this varietal. The Sauvignon Blanc for Jackson Tricks in 2018 was a good harvest for white. It wasn't that hot at all. It was hot at some point, but then eventually it turned nice and cooler, and enough water to get the flavors in. I found it very nice and crispy. There is a lot of asparagus notes there that very likely will go very well with the salad you guys are tasting right now. It's very fresh, very crispy, especially on the palate. That aftertaste keep calling for the flavors you had on the nose, right? This is something that I'm very proud on the wines that we are crafting. Is me as a consumer first, then as a winemaker. When I get a glass of wine, I like to explore it, right? I taste it, I smell it, I go back. But again, as you guys are doing right now, you are tasting with some food, and maybe I'm Italian background, and there's no rush at the table. You stay there for hours, enjoying the time, the company, and everything. So I like to see the evolution in a glass of wine. I really look forward to that in any bottle of wine that I'm opening and buying and I'm going through. So I like to see how the flavor evolves, because in every wine you will ever taste and buy in any kind of wine, once you pour it in your glass, if you leave it there for a little bit, you will see how it evolves. Sometimes you say, okay, you know what, it's a little bit tight, it's a little bit tired, sorry, closed. Then you leave it there and it opens up. Others, like the Sauvignon Blanc here, is just very expressive at the beginnings, really screams out of varietal. And then as it progresses throughout your meal and through your experience you're having at the table, then it delivers a different personality. And that's a beautiful thing to explore. It's a journey, really, that I always enjoy. And you will hear me speaking about this journey of senses later on when I will go in the reds, where probably those are varietals that they're more inclined to deliver that kind of experience and go that kind of, and take the distance when it comes to sense exploring experiences. Okay. As I said, Sauvignon Blanc is a varietal that does extremely well in Niagara. Under the Jackson Tricks portfolio, we tried years ago. We start also sparkling Sauvignon Blanc, which I'm very proud of. It's extremely expressive. Just to link back to the sparklings that Teresa was mentioning earlier. Another category. I know today we have a cider, a growers, phenomenal product. I love it. Around the pool or in a patio on a cold day is really what you need. But just to go back a little bit to the comment that was made about sparklings, I believe the Niagara region, and I take any chance I can to say this publicly and everywhere. I believe the sparklings in Niagara are one of the best in the world. You can find the diversity of the styles. Some of them are 3 to 5 years on lease. Some of them are Chardonnay Pinot Noir blends. Some other are Rieslings, straight Rieslings. But it's very difficult to go wrong with the sparkling Niagara. It's always been a very strong advocate about what the region can do. And in the last 15 years in this region, I've been very happy and proud to see how this category is growing exponentially within the sales, as well as appreciation between the consumers. And this is not just a testament to the viticulturists and the winemakers in the region, but also to the wine educators and like this group here. The passion of trying wines and trying to educate ourselves and whoever we can with our knowledge about wine and food pairing. That's how we could get this industry to be where it is. So thank you for that, because it's always, there's never enough of this kind of knowledge. And you know what, because the industry changes, the expectations of the consumers change as well, and it's very dynamic. It's a beautiful industry because of that. You will never get tired to try the same thing, because every year will be different, right? So Sauvignon Blanc, I'm glad we started with the Sauvignon Blanc, because it was really a great product, phenomenal varietal. Now, and you guys, yes.
If I can interrupt for just a second, Marco, sorry. Marilyn, are there any questions about the Sauvignon Blanc or the pairing or anything for Marco here?
Yeah,
Nothing so far.
I have my chat open, so you guys want to go in.
Yeah, nothing.
I keep going, guys. If there are any questions or anything, just
Okay.
Just spit it out. Write it, tell
Right.
me, okay? So I'm trying the Pinot
Okay.
Gris now. Since it's Thursday night, it's better, you know, like, and it's still hot out here. I'm down from Niagara, so the bottle is wetting and it's wetting all over the desk, so it's better I take care of it. So Pinot Gris, well, this comes very close to home for me. I'm originally, well, as you probably guessed already from my accent and name, obviously from Italy, but I'm from the northeast of Italy, from Friuli, where the northeast is strong on the production of Pinot Grigio. Always been since the mid 90s, when these varietals start really skyrocketing on our books exponentially, especially on an export portion point of view. North Europe was mostly of our, and North America was mostly of our outlets for this varietal. And honestly, I believe is a very beautiful wine. This is the Pinot Grigio. Sorry, I need to do the mirror thing, which I really don't know how to
Yep,
do.
we can see it. The
Sorry,
Pinot
guys.
Gris.
So it's the Pinot Gris, excuse me, from Inniskilling, the 2017. Well, you know what, Pinot Grigio, yeah, it's a very interesting approach. I like it because it allows a very good flexibility from a winemaking expression. From a viticulture, you don't have a lot of room to play there. You need to be very careful with the grapes per vine. Whereas Sauvignon Blanc, you can play around. You want to have it fruitier, you want to have it crispier, you want to have it fresher, and you play around with those factors. Whereas Pinot Grigio, if you go too heavy on the production, it might probably backfire on you. You're going to have a little bit too much of honey notes and evolved notes that are probably good to the first year, but then eventually evolves very quickly. Pinot Grigio is a wine that evolves pretty quickly because of the phenolic content on it. But I do believe Pinot Grigio I enjoy it. I do believe it's very enjoyable varietal. I think it does have depends how you make it. Obviously, it can be a little bit softer, sweeter. Some of the Pinot Gris can age in barrel. This didn't.
Has this one had any barrel age, Marco?
No. No, I'm just taking a look at my notes here. No, not this one, not this one. No. But we have some Pinot Gris under the Inniskilling umbrella where we actually age it in barrel. I used to make some Pinot Grigio also for when I was at Jackson Tricks, and I always like a touch of oak, used oak, and not to give you the phenolic or the oak component, but it was mostly to open up the flavors. You know, the oxidation, the oxygenation that happened within a barrel that can backfire on you, can be your best friend or worst enemy, because it's such a fine line. With reds, the conversation changes, but when it comes to some aromatic wines, Sauvignon Blanc as well. Sauvignon Blanc can be aged, barrels just to give that kind of oxidation to the precursors that they eventually change later on, and they deliver a different style, right? So you have a product that is a little bit more mature, a little bit more masculine, a little bit more muscles. And if you age it in barrel, this is not the case, I said, but I like the fragrance on the nose, a little bit of peaches, apricots there. It's a very interesting wine, and at the palate, it does have a nice structure. The acidity is balanced, the sweetness is there, and I repeat, it's a 2017 wine. It's going over 3 years now, and it's still showing very, very beautiful personality. Now, when it comes to food pairing, you say shrimp skewers. It's a beautiful pairing. At this stage as well, you can find probably if you drink it a little bit earlier, you might probably it might probably be a little bit fresher, so you might probably go a little bit more probably towards the seafood salad, right? As the wine age, then you get a little bit more of a different environment of food. When it comes to residual sugars, I'm reading here. The Sauvignon Blanc has 3 grams per liter of sugars, and the Pinot Grigio, the Pinot Gris, sorry, my Italian thing kept scratching me on saying it Grigio. The Pinot Gris, I think, is around 5 grams per liter or what from my nose.
So, and in all fairness, I thought perhaps the Pinot Gris might have had a little bit of oak treatment, hence the skewers with the barbecue spice. But I still think it works.
Oh, it's, again, I keep reading my notes here just to make sure that I'm not confusing the wines here, but no. I don't have obviously the skewers with me here, but I believe so, because you know what, Teresa, the structure, the phenolics, and the palate is really strong, right? And it needs the kind of flavor to go with it. You need to have a little bit. It's a pretty strong alcoholic palate. You know, it does have some body there. Whereas if you jump back on your Sauvignon Blanc, it's lean, elegant, and if you put something a little bit strong, again, I'm not very familiar with the Chef's Mike barbecue spice yet. However, I'm familiar with shrimp skewers very well, and they have the kind of fat, oily, and you know, in the palate. And I see the acidity in this wine. I'm talking about the Pinot Gris now, going very well, complementing very well the oiliness, you know, that comes with the food. Whereas Sauvignon Blanc, maybe because it's delicate, sorry, more delicate than this. Yeah, I don't know. It would be fun probably to switch it, right, and see how the things are going.
Yes, and actually, that's a good point. If you haven't eaten everything already, you probably have, and if you have both of the wines, do a switch in the pairings. Try the asparagus salad with the Pinot Gris, and try the shrimp skewers, or at least a bit of the shrimp with the Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, there is a question there about variety. How much of the wine was in the cider is very minimum. Probably just a small percentage, just to give him that little bit of color, technically, right? Because we didn't want to overwhelm the cider. This product, despite its flavor, obviously, as you can read from the label, it does still scream for apple wine. Sorry, apple cider, right? So it's just a color, just to give a little bit of nuance in the color there. So extremely minimal. It would be surprises over a couple of percentage. As you can say, the color is pretty delicate, right? And again, I don't mind to jump back and forth, you know, with the products here. But you know what? We had a couple of days of very hot, some kind of summer days, and ciders are something that are very as a good companion when it's very hot, right? You know, it's a good alternative for many other drinks. If you like the flavor, they're light. You know, they're not very heavy, not very sugary. It's a very beautiful alternative. I'm jumping the pool. I always have a cider on the back, 100%. As it gives a little bit of
I'm gardening. I have a cider.
There we go. Cutting the roses. So yeah, as I said, the Pinot Gris, again, is a varietal that in Niagara is not, we do have quite a bit, is not, if it's not that much in Pinot Gris in Niagara. Why? As I said, it's a tough varietal to grow in humid regions like here. Especially because Pinot Grigio comes in a little bit later in the season when it gets more rainy, and the weather starts getting a little bit challenging. Whereas the Sauvignon Blanc comes in a little bit earlier, so you can avoid those kind of issues, you know, with when the weather gets a little bit muggy and cloudy. So, but if done right, I believe that terroir is really good. I do prefer the Pinot Grigio, mostly from the bench area. I find that, and this is from there, just on the Beamsville bench there. I like it because there is still a little bit of minerality there that lifts the entire complexity of the flavors, as well as it gives a little bit more of structure. Yeah, it delivers a very nice structure. is a little bit bolder. Whereas when you move a little bit more to the Niagara on the Lake area, because of the acidity, it does get a little bit more of an, I don't want to say elegance, but a little bit leaner, softer, a different wine, really different style. The Sauvignon Blanc we tasted today, the grapes are actually from just off Stafford Road. If you are familiar with the QW, where they're all the grapes there. So you drive from the just by the lake, really close to the lake. Why is that important? I believe it's very important because it creates an interesting, because of the bench is right there. Then you have the flat, and then you have the lake in a small span of kilometers, right? I love the Sauvignon Blancs from that area because there is a good difference of temperature between day and night. The temperature going up and down very, they spike very much, and that allows the grape to produce way more precursors, make more flavors, concentrated flavors. Flavors in the berry, especially for aromatic whites, are a consequence of difference of temperature between day and night. One of the big driving reasons, obviously, sun exposures, leaf, and everything else is very important. But that's a factor that really plays an important effect on those flavors. And in that position, there is a very good wind air drainage, we call it. So the air just flows through the vines in a way that it doesn't stay there and muggy to create mold and other fungus. So you leverage also the healthiness of the grapes. Those are my favorite vineyards in the region. Obviously, they're outstanding Sauvignon Blancs. It wasn't not long ago. Well, now it's already 3 months. Almost 3 months they're in lockdown, so it must have been longer than that. That I tried some beautiful Sauvignon Blancs from St. David's area in the Niagara on the Lake, from a couple of producers there. Gorgeous products, very beautiful, different styles, absolutely different styles. But extremely very well crafted. The other wine that I poured with here is the Chardonnay. Chardonnay is obviously a phenomenal. I like Chardonnays, and if you guys like Chardonnay, you might probably be familiar with the I4C event that we used to do every year. Beautiful window on the international cool climate. Oh boy. On the cool climate Chardonnay internationally, so you can actually explore your senses within all corners of the world on how viticultures and winemakers are actually approaching this varietal. Why I do like Chardonnay is because to me it's 100% a winemaker wine. And why am I saying that? Because the Chardonnay leaves an extremely white canvas, massive white canvas to any winemaker. You can pick it earlier, lower bricks, lower sugars, to make it a little bit crispier, a little bit fresher, more fragrance, or you pick it later to deliver a little bit more of, structure, fruity, cooked fruit, move for rest. This, you are a little bit more limited in the span when you pick Sauvignon Blanc. Because if you ripe the Sauvignon Blanc a little bit too much, then you're missing a little bit of the varietals, right? It gets a little bit too cooked under the sun and so on. So that's one of the things. You can do Malo, you cannot do Malo. Malo, no Malo, Chardonnay, you can do a beautiful style, beautiful wines. You can do oak or not oak. Do you want it oaky or not? What level of oak? Do you want it, keep it, you don't want to have oak, but you want to still it on the leaves, or do you want to do it a little bit more of a Chablis style? So it really allows, and when it comes to oak, what kind of oak? I always joke with my fellow winemakers in Niagara when I do tours or stuff like that. I say, listen, if I put 20 barrels, different barrels of Chardonnay, and I pick 5 winemakers, and I tell them to make a wine out of those barrels, you will taste 5 different Chardonnays. Because that you will find the winemaker say, oh, I'm going to pick only old barrels because he wants, that style. Or somebody goes a little bit heavier on the oak. I shouldn't say heavier, but higher on the oak content. Maybe somebody says, I want to steer it a little bit more, to get a little bit of yeastiness coming out, right? So I'm really a big fan of Chardonnay. When I go back home in Italy to visit my friends or in Argentina, when I could fly down there, I have some friends, producers down there. And the first thing I'm asking to try for me is show me a Chardonnay, because that's a very expressive way of, and tell me what you were thinking when you made it. Why did you make it like that and not the other way, right? Obviously, every single wine has its own story, and every single wine has its own fashion and beautiful journey to explain why I got there. But Chardonnay to me is a varietal that is a wine that makes me more curious than many others, because it allows that more flexibility, more, I want to say creativity in the winemaker. So I foresee 2021, yes, really looking forward to it, because yeah, I don't think in 2020 might probably be much of an option, unless we do something like this, which would be awesome. And all producers from around the world will send each other a bottle and we'll taste zooming at home from New Zealand or Australia or South Africa. Yes, very good question. Yes, there is oak. There is oak. This wine is being oaked. A small amount of oak, probably around, we are looking around 4 to 5% of oak. So it's not very much, but it's new oak. That's why you can get that vanilla kind of style of flavors. The rest, now very minimum. You're looking at 2-3 grams per liter. And the reason why I always say 2 or 3 is mostly because it fluctuates, depends how much is left during fermentation. Rarely fermentation go blank to zero. French oak, yes, is a French oak, and has been in oak for at least 3 months, give or take. It doesn't take too much to extract.
Sorry, Marco, can I interrupt for just a second? Could you explain for some of our folks what malolactic fermentation is?
Absolutely, sorry about that. Yeah.
So we'll be into the term.
Yeah. So the malolactic fermentation is a fermentation that can happen in every wine. Technically, is a bacteria, is not a yeast anymore. That the yeast usually eats sugar and transform alcohol and many other things in the between. But let's stick it like that, right? CO2 and all the fun stuff. The malolactic eats malic acid and transform it in lactic acid. What is malic? Malic is an acid that is a little bit, it's pretty strong at the palate. Very
Like lemon?
Yeah, it might resemble the lemon kind of perception. Whereas the lactic, you think about butter, you think about milky, that's where we're going. To a point where the fermentation as it starts, and you can hear partial malolactic, non-malolactic, full malolactic. What does it mean? Is that as this bacteria start eating the acid and it transforms it in lactic, your wine becomes bolder, a little bit richer, and it gives you, like this wine, the perception of sweetness. It is not sugar, but on the fatness and the perception on the taste buds, some of them, they will trick you to tell you that it's sweet. Like carrots or peas, they don't have the sweet, they don't have real residual sugars there, but they trigger a perception that tells you that is of sweet, let's call it. The same, the malolactic, because the palate becomes a little fattier, bolder, bigger, milkier, we can say, whatever you want to define it, to a point where if this malolactic, if the fermentation is not stopped, then it produces other bad things that actually is called diacetyl, but doesn't matter. And actually now the wine is actually faulty. You will have a wine that really smells like rotten milk because it produces that kind of lactic, acid lactic that is in the milk that triggers that kind of flavors. So in a wine, that flavor translates because of the pH and all the other things creates a little bit of a conflict. That's why the wine, you say, went too long on the malolactic fermentation. And but that's where you play, you know, with your style of the wine. You say, I do just a little bit, or I do a little bit more, right? I believe that it's, again, the Chardonnay to me as a little bit, this one specifically, as a little bit of floral notes, some peaches, apricots there, but very fresh, you know, like white peaches. Still very very fresh. I like the vanilla notes at the nose from the oak component. I find it very well integrated. You know, some apple, I said there, well, a little bit also of pear, but just a touch. Whereas at the palate, I believe that the acidity is actually nice and very well balanced with the sugar. The vanilla note keeps carry on. The phenolics are right there. I think there are a little bit of phenolics with what you want to have in a wine when you put it in barrels, right? And yeah, I think it's maple cookie. I think is definitely a very good choice. I mean, there is a lot of, as I said, the cookie concept there. It just goes very well with the fact that you have a product that went through malolactic, and that lactic and fattiness and kind of, I'd say, milkiness shouldn't be like that. But just to give a little bit of the idea of what I'm trying to do in my descriptors, it does matches that, right? And yeah, I know somebody, Cindy, yes, yeah, Cindy enjoys it also with the shrimps. I cannot disagree. I had this wine not long ago with actually some scallops and shrimps. Made them not too fancy. I'm good at making wine, but food maybe I need to take some schooling, or I go down the street here to a beautiful restaurant we have. So I say, hey buddy, you help me out. But yeah, I made some shrimps and some scallops, and it's a wine that really stand up to it. I believe you start going a little bit heavier with food, maybe halibut or Atlantic salmon or some trout, some a little bit fattier. Probably this wine, you need to go a grade up, maybe something a little bit oakier, a little bit aged, a little bit maybe longer in oak, just to give a little bit more of fattiness, I think. But with shrimps and the scallops, maybe, I'm sure the pairing is really dynamite. Yeah.
Okay, and if I can interrupt again just for a minute, we've got all three wines. We've got the three food pairings like people enjoy, taste. And Marilyn, do we have any questions in the chat room at this point? Give Marco a little bit of a break, but also ask some questions.
Angela has a few questions, but I can just say while she gets those lined up, people are loving the asparagus salad. Are you sharing recipes, Teresa, at some point? I know that's an ambitious task we've talked about.
So you know what? There's we're at tomorrow, for everybody that participated, we'll send out an order form for the wines, and I will send out the recipe for the asparagus salads along with the in the email.
So Angela, what have you got there?
We have a couple questions.
Perfect.
So we have the difference between Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio, and then the variety of rosé wine and the cider.
Okay. Did you get the questions, Marco?
Yeah, no, I was trying to answer them. As I have the chat on the side here. So as the questions were coming up about the arrest on the oak from Tracy, what type of how long, then yeah, Annie was asking me if I'm looking forward for the 2021 I foresee. Yeah, as they come up, I try. If you see me distracted, I keep reading them just in case I can catch it right away. So yeah.
No, and you don't have to answer right away. And you don't have to type the answers. Angela will ask the questions, and then everybody can hear all the answers.
Okay.
So maybe Teresa, you're the better one to answer the question, the difference between a Pinot Gris and a Pinot Grigio.
Is that okay with you, Marco?
You want me to answer it?
Whoever.
You're welcome to answer.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, I missed the
difference between Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris.
Well, Pinot Grigio is a style. Oh, they're all made obviously from the same varietal. It's just winemaking. I would stretch the comment to viticulturist as well. There's a viticulture and winemaking interpretation of the winemaking of how to get there. Where Pinot Grigio is a little bit leaner, more elegant, more acidic, floral. Yes, that's probably what the the flavors are. Whereas the Pinot Gris is something a little bit richer, bolder. Sometimes, so you pick it probably a little bit later. Remember, as earlier as I was saying about the bricks component in the window, maybe the Pinot Grigio, you pick it a little bit earlier to get more the fragrance, fruity flavors, and a little bit more of acidity, a little bit leaner as well, but still a lot of elegance there. Whereas the Pinot Grigio, you might probably stretch your ripeness a little bit later in the season to get more sugars, a little bit more polysaccharides, or more concentrated. You might probably, if you want, age it in barrels. That's an option. It's up to you if you want to go with a little bit more oak or less, that style. But usually the oak, you might probably pick to age it in barrels just to give you a little bit more of richness of the palate, because that oxidation was telling you earlier.
Yeah, for the Pinot Gris. So, and if I
With the
might,
Pinot Gris, yeah.
so, and if I might add, so it's a gray grape, right? So Grigio is gray in Italian, and Gris is gray in France, in French.
Yeah.
So one is the Italian style, the other is the French style. Yep. And the Grigio is usually picked a little bit earlier, a little bit and less oak.
More acidic. Yeah.
And then the Gris, to me, and again, why it can handle some oak and is picked later. Not that I am a winemaker, of course, I'm just a somm, but it's a food wine. To me, it's a heavier food wine.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. I agree. I agree totally with you, Teresa. It's a product where Pinot Grigio, I can sit on the deck and have it by itself in a nice, summer night or by the mountains when I go back home. I love a nice glass of Pinot Grigio. It's refreshing. Whereas the Pinot Gris, I really want to have some food with there, because like right now, right? I'm grab the Pinot Gris right here, and it screams for food. It's just like, give me something. I want to have it. Give me, there's something missing there. Go eat. Go cook something. It's definitely, yeah. I can't agree with that. It leaves a lot of room again for the winemaking and the styles a little bit to massage your usage of oak, or how you ferment it, how long you ferment it, and all these kind of little details, which obviously are extremely important. But yeah, there's two different beautiful styles to me. Yeah.
And both are great wines. Like, it's a wonderful grape, and it's very versatile. And yeah, I'm sitting on the patio, I'm going to have a Pinot Grigio, and if I'm having shrimp with Mike's barbecue sauce, I'm going to have the Pinot Gris. Anyway, next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Angela, what's next? Or you may see I don't see the chat questions for whatever reason, but.
I think he's answered all of them.
Oh, okay.
There was just one right at the beginning. Did you want to answer that now, Marco?
Yeah, sure.
The first one we got?
Yeah. Question, would it be possible to have Zinfandel Cabernet Merlot blend? I presume Zinfandel doesn't grow in Ontario. What about BC? Yes. The answer, obviously, we can try to make everything everywhere we want to. I don't believe Zinfandel is a varietal that really expresses maximum capacity in Niagara. It's a varietal that loves heat and sun, and to express the characteristic. And I think it will be, it would. I don't believe that Niagara would give it the environment, the terroir, really to express it much. Sure, you can find a block that you can make, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 cases a year of a great Zinfandel, and prove me wrong. Well, to me, when you ask me, Marco, can the varietal be grown in Niagara or in a region, whatever region we're talking about, then to me it needs to answer to a few questions. Can I make it every year in big amounts, by delivering good quality? Sauvignon Blanc in Niagara does, Chardonnay does it, Merlot does it, Riesling does it, Pinot Noir does it here in Niagara. So, sparklings, okay, we talk about it. So you already had a cluster of varietals in Niagara. You already know what grows well where and how to do it, right? So I tried not long, Wednesday, a Malbec from Niagara, from the producer. It was a good Malbec. But what I remember in the Malbecs I was making in Luigi Bosca in Argentina 2003. You know, then you come. That's the benchmarking. Like that's how you should taste, as well as you have a great benchmarking in France where you say, okay, this is a different style, as we were saying earlier about Sauvignon Blanc, you know, New World, Old World. Okay, we can cluster these tasting profiles, these characteristics and styles within these buckets. I believe that sure we can try to grow Zinfandel in Niagara. I don't think we're gonna get playoff to a medal on that one. Cabernet Merlot, yeah. I'm a big fan of the Merlots from Niagara. I actually love a lot of reds that are coming out of Niagara. We'll talk about them later when we get to the signature red. And BC is a hidden gem in the world wine industry. The problem with BC is the amount of fruit that can actually come out of there. But when you go and taste their reds over there's dynamite. That would, honestly, one of my favorite reds. The Shiraz out of there, Bruce Nicholson has taught a lot of people how to make Shiraz in Canada, and he won one of the best wines in the world back in 2005. As it was a Shiraz from Jackson Tricks in Okanagan. So it's an area there that is outstanding for, and I mentioned Shiraz, obviously. I had a beautiful Malbec from Enniskillen out in BC. Phenomenal wine. I actually drank it after 12 years because Bruce gave it to me for a present. And I kept it, I couldn't find it in the cellar till when I moved my house and I could, you know, repack everything. There we go, found it. And it was stunning, very well aged, very supportive. That's why now I don't want to deviate too much here, but the question was about BC as well. That's why I'm a big fan of the wine industry in Canada overall, because it gives you the opportunity to have such a massive variety of wine regions. BC and Ontario are completely different from each other. And what you can get, the same variety you can get here is a completely different world. Right, but still really good, as well as in BC, the reds are still coming out with a good tenor of acidity. Now, you think of the biggest reds in the world when they age, like the Nebbiolos, the Brunellos, the Barolos, the Chiantis, are made with varietals that are fundamentally very acidic, Sangiovese and Nebbiolo. And so that acidity allowed the wine to last longer in bottle, to age for a long time. Then eventually, like a fruitier, bolder, Californian Cab is a phenomenal wine. But eventually, you're planning to keep the wine for a little bit longer, 5 to 10 to 12, 15 years. Then you need acidity and good phenolics there. And I believe that the Niagara region, as well as the BC, they both have their own challenges, obviously, when it comes to picking grapes. They give you the tool for you as a viticulturist to pass it on to the winemaking, and then eventually later on as a consumer to understand how long you want to age that wine and how you want to like it, and how you want to food pair it. I hope that answers David's question about Zinfandel. I love Zinfandel. Back in the days when we were working with a lot of wineries in California, we had the fortune to taste a lot of Zinfandels down from the Sonoma Valley, and they're extraordinary wines, right? But they need their own terroir, yeah.
Marco, I think that's a perfect lead-in to the red wines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And okay, Pinot Noir, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me clean this up. Well, Pinot Noir, you guys don't mind, right? So I'm gonna show you the bottle.
Yep. Yeah, perfect.
And so you can tell it's this one. Tasting, right? Pinot Noir. Well, what to say about Pinot Noir? I mean, either you like it or you don't like it, but you cannot ignore it, which is one of the beautiful things about anything in the world, right? When you cannot be ignored, you state a mark, that's mission accomplished. Then eventually everything else is just style and liking, which is minimum. The Pinot Noir in Niagara has really set the mark in terms of terroir, in terms of knowledge, in terms of everything you want to say about it. That is a Niagara Pinot Noir, full stop. There's no compromises, there's no much to argue. That is a definitive terroir. of Pinot Noir in Niagara, and it grows extremely well. Challenging. I believe it's a very challenging grape to grow here because of the nature of our weather, very humid, and the Pinot don't like. Okay, don't take me wrong. There's no varietals, no grapes that they like humidity. There is not, but some can take them more than others. Right? The Pinot families like Pinot Grigio, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, if we want to do it, they're thin-skinned, right? So as soon as you get a little bit of moisture in the air, then you can have sour rot kicking in, you can have botrytis coming along, so you're facing a tough environment. But it's a tough grape to grow, so all my respect to the growers for that. And
So Marco, isn't it a tough grape to grow anywhere?
Yeah.
Like that's why they call it the heartbreak grape, right? So it's difficult anywhere, no?
Yeah, it is. In Argentina, we try to grow some Pinot Noir, but then it's so hot and so fast, then it arrives so fast from the sugar content, which to me doesn't mean too much, but doesn't matter. Your bricks are coming up and the phenolic doesn't progress. That happens to all grapes, but when it happens to the Pinot Noir, you have a product that is extremely astringent and bitter, and you need to complement those phenolics in a different way. Whereas here, the phenolics are always thumbs up. In any red you can grow in Niagara. The phenolic ripening is really good in Niagara. The sugars, that's fine, we'll fix it. But it takes you time to get to the level of sugars, so you can say I'm gonna pick it, and maybe stretch over the season where you have a wet October, you have a week of rain in October, and then your Pinot goes for a walk, right? So it's edgy. It's edgy. In Germany, when I was studying up there, and the guys in the Rheingau region, we used to make mostly Riesling. But there was a beautiful Pinot Noir growing there, gorgeous. Love the flavors, love the style, really expressive, very typical. Again, something you really have to be very, very careful from viticulture here. I believe that I feel comfortable to say that 60–70% of your wine quality in a Pinot Noir comes from viticulture. Winemaking obviously comes later, but it's unforgiving in the unforgiving. So the rest here is around 3–4 grams per liter, around that mark, not very much. The vineyards are from Niagara-on-the-Lake mostly. The vineyards are from most of the Niagara-on-the-Lake area, and some are just close to the lake. Some others a little bit close to the St. David's Bench. It's interesting. David's Bench is a very beautiful, has its own beautiful microclimate there. You have a little bit of a bench there, but you have the fact of the soil is completely obviously very clay, so very vigorous. Whereas you start moving, and the lake is not that proximity, so it's a very interesting microclimate there. I like the Pinot Noirs from there. Yeah, when you talk about the residual sugars, we talk about the sweetness. So it's 3–4 grams per liter. So it's not the sweet. It's a zero scale. You could compare it, right? So there is oak here. We age it in oak, French oak, 100%. No, sorry, not 100% of the wine in French oak. So 100% of the oak that we use was French. I stayed there probably for 5 to 6 months. Just to get, Pinot Noir needs that, not just for the flavor, but mostly for the color. That's where oak becomes important to my opinion, in a Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir, as you can tell, has a very delicate color, beautiful colors. However, are very delicate, as I said, very delicate. So you need to find that balance, chemistry balance, naturally in the wine, to save those colors, stabilize them. And to do so, the phenolics, the tannins from the oak, that's what you work with. That's very important, because that allows your Pinot Noir to maintain the beautiful color for many, many more years. Acidity is another great thing. That's why I believe the Pinot Noirs from Niagara are great wines to cellar. I opened it at the Lane Vineyard Pinot Noir, was it probably a couple of weekends ago, and that was 2006. give it a good decanting. The colors was, it still have a beautiful hue. Not as vibrant and red like this, but it wasn't brown, it wasn't decayed, and it was extremely flavorful. Dry figs, dry leaves, mushrooms, underbrush, very evolved, very expressive. It was speaking for hours in the glass, really. And the palate was a little bit softer because the acidity goes away a little bit. But you know, the tannins get mature, but they leave that underlay of structure that is very enjoyable. It's great. So one of the things that I would say about the Pinot Noirs from Niagara are their own wine. So it's a Niagara Pinot Noir. It's not, it reminds me of the Oregon, or reminds me the Burgundy, or reminds me whatever, North Italian Pinot, or whatever you want to call it. No, it's a Niagara Pinot, full stop. There's nothing else. And then eventually, you know, and secondly, I suggest Pinot Noirs from Niagara. Enjoy them when you like them. Obviously, you go to the store, you buy it, perfect, bingo, bring it home, enjoy it. But there are wines that they really, really, really express a lot of personality with years on the shoulders. And I saw that in many and with many other brands in Niagara. So it's a great thing. This Pinot Noir, as I found it is fragrant. There's a little bit of cassis notes in there, a little bit of lather, a little bit of oak comes through, more like a mocha to me style of the nose. There's a little, as I said, a little bit of sandal. It's elegant on the nose. There's a lot of flavors that are coming through, and keep it in your glass. It will evolve. It will evolve a lot. And oh yeah, here we go. I just read in the food pairing right now. Marshmallow. Sorry, I believe that the nose is really on the money. It's spicy. There is a lot of nice spices here that with the mushroom, that depends how you cook the mushroom, but it's definitely right on the money. So.
Okay. And just a bit of trivia for any of you that have had my Pinot Noir syrup. It is all made with this particular Pinot Noir. All my syrups are made with this.
Okay.
That gives it there's a fruit. Just a good flavor.
Sorry, say again.
All yours.
No, I find it at the palate that there's a nice balance of tannins, you know, the phenolics, and I see the food pairing right now, very, very beautiful. You know, that pairing with the phenolics, the acidity. Yeah, the RS, I was corrected. I stand corrected. It was 5 grams per liter, and but again, they don't jump at your palate as a sweet wine. It's like they are integrated with the acidity, with the extract, with the alcohol, with the tannins. And it follows through. It follows through a lot. The flavor and the sweetness, and the fruitiness really follows through, and it stays there for quite a bit. To me, this is another wine that screams for food. Yes, it's a nice wine on the patio, but I now that while I haven't it's supper, yes, so that probably is a factor. But you know, it's yeah, I see how this wine can you know, just give me something to eat with. I don't know. Have you ever thought about what's your thoughts about salami or prosciutto, Teresa?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think it would be too fatty for this?
Well, some might be, but no. And I think there's enough fruitiness with this wine that would cut the fattiness of the prosciutto or the salami. Like, I think it would offset it.
Yeah, I think so. It just came. Yes, there was a question about me. Yes, I am Artera winemaker, so the Artera brand is mine, and I made two Pinot Noirs, but that's a different story. Those were made with an appassimento style, and there was dry fruit. There is no dry fruit in here. We didn't dry the grapes, so yeah, that was different.
We'll have to come back another day and talk to us
Yes,
about
anytime. I like this. Look at this. Love it. So any questions before I keep going here? I feel like I'm a monologue. You guys, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Tell me what you think about the wine. Any thoughts? Any agreements, disagreements?
Shall we unmute him for a moment?
I'm putting the signature red.
Okay. And you will have to tell us what's in the signature red.
Yes.
Unmute. 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 I'm unmuted. Hello. Hello, hello. They can hear you. Well, how come you can hear me over there? I'm unmuted. Everyone can hear you. They can hear you. It's not me.
Okay, I think I'm back, finally. No, I'm not, David.
Yep, you're good to go, Teresa.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Somehow I got muted and didn't realize it. Anyway, so Marco, tell us what's in the signature red, please.
Mostly Cab Sauv and Shiraz.
Cab Sauv and Shiraz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly Cab Sauv Shiraz. A little bit of Chardonnay, just 2%, and not even, just to give a little bit of smoothness. And the Shiraz was aged for 3 months in oak. Now we're talking about American oak, and give a little bit more. And yeah, that's mostly it. Shiraz, the Cab Sauv and Shiraz, again, there's two varietals that are pretty challenging in Niagara. Challenging in terms of, when I say challenging is consistency. As you know, weather changes a lot in our region. It's not consistent, and these varietals are definitely the ones that are affected the most. Why? Because of late ripening varietals. They usually are ready to pick later on into the season, end of October, sometimes beginning of November. And if you were picking grapes in 2019, you would pick Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz in the snow at -7 or -8, whatever we got that week. So if you guys remember, it wasn't a funny thing to do, but the grapes obviously don't enjoy that kind of situation, kind of weather. That's why I say Cab Sauv in Niagara is challenging. However, I had the fortune to try some good, beautiful Cab Sauvignons, Cab Franc from Sandines, and especially from the bench, gorgeous. Cabernet Franc, Vineland Estates for me make an extremely beautiful Cabernet Franc. Brian really does magic there every year. The Cab Franc for Nice Killing as well is something that I really enjoy. Bruce, another magic there. So there is opportunity there to work with the cabs, Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, whatever you want to put in there. But 60% Cab Sauvignon, 40% Shiraz, give or take. Sometimes it goes a little bit more Cab Sauv and less Shiraz. It depends how the vintage goes. Sometimes some vintages are really hard on Shiraz and more generous on Cab Sauv. Sometimes it goes the other way around. But the Cab Sauv is mainly the main component. Okay, so yeah. And yes, the question percentage of each along in oak, as I said, 3 months in oak, only the Shiraz, just to give a little bit more structure, and mostly for a color binding, color and tannins. The Shiraz, because comes in on the last, very likely is one of the last varieties to bring in, unless it breaks down in the vineyard and you need to make a an emergency call and bring them in. But usually it is one of the last that stays out there. Some great producers down in the Niagara-on-the-Lake, and they used to do it in the past with the vineyard in Niagara-on-the-Lake, not far from the airport. You know, if you're familiar with Niagara-on-the-Lake, there is a kind of small little airport there. That area, I used to dry the grapes on the vine, just to allow the grapes not to rot on the vine, but to get the grapes to get to the extra mile in terms of ripening. And when I say ripening, I don't care about sugars. I don't care about breaks. That's just an indicator. To me, ripening is more about flavor component and the tannins, the seeds. Usually you eat the berry, you spit it, and you see what color are the seeds. If the seeds are nice and brown, you're good. If the seeds are green, you're in trouble. So you want to let the grapes to ripe a little bit longer when they find the balance. Sugar is a different story. So I believe that those are my first two things to go. So in 2011, we tried in that vineyard we call it king cutting. So we went in and we cut the king. You have to cut the kings anyway because you have to prune the vines for the next season, right? There's normal practice. But now you do it probably, mid-October, and then you cut it. So you leave the fruit in there. So even if you have a lot of rain, the vine doesn't suck water anymore to pump it into the grapes. Because what happens is this: your grapes, your berries, your berries at their own size. And then eventually you get a nice rainfall, and the plant keeps sucking water because the plant doesn't care to make good grapes. The plant just cares to make some grapes that the bird or somebody eats them so they can spread the seed. Bottom line, they don't care to make good wine. But so the water goes into the berries, and the berries split and crack, and that's mold, everything, just name it. Like you have a tomato on your countertop and crack it. It will turn bad, right? So what we did, we cut the kings so that water doesn't go there anymore. The berries, so your leaves fell off. The sun hits the berries, and that is a crucial, important thing because the tannins, the good phenolics that you have in a wine is technically the sunscreen of the berry. The UV hits the berries, and the berries, just to protect themselves, produce tannins. And those are the good tannins, the ones you want to have. That's why by doing this practice, you allow the berry A to stay in the vine, B to produce more concentration, C to produce better tannins, and moving forward, you can pick it a little faster, right? This is what we have done here. The Shiraz part of the vineyard with the Shiraz has been done like that. Just to allow, when it's needed, when you see that the harvest doesn't help, then it gets cloudy, it gets rainy, it gets cold, then you can go that direction. This direction we adopted at Artera Wines Canada back in the time. It wasn't Artera Wines, it was another company, but it was down in 2011 the first time we did it, and it proved to be very, very successful for the Bordeaux varietals. And that's what happened here for the Shiraz. We aged in barrels and got really aging a lot, right? It's Shiraz in Niagara, you know what? Remember, in Argentina, we used to make wines, we call them 4x4, because it was 4 tartaric and 4 pH, which is a horrible combination. Usually it's all over, right? And the beauty of also the Shiraz here in Niagara is the acidity. It comes in at a very good acid level, and pH is everything because it maintains the stability microorganism in the wine. It allows the wine to accelerate for a little bit longer. But it was a question of how long do you think this wine can age? I would say 5 years, really at the most, because there's residual sugars that is in there. We wanted specifically to make it with 12 grams per liter here, just to give it that kind of combination, that kind of structure. That's just, but I don't believe that after 5 to 10 years you will find again that kind of balance of the palate. I believe this is between 3 to 5, 6 years at the most is where you will enjoy the wine the most.
And in all fairness, Marco, in all fairness, the price kind of indicates that as well, right? I think a case price is $11.95 or $12.95 a bottle. So you're not going to expect to lay down a wine for 10 years or 15 years. They're everyday drinking wines, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is a very enjoyable wine to go in, and, have a nice easygoing dinner. Sorry, evening I meant, not dinner, but nice easygoing evening, and go for it. But it delivers all the components of a very pleasant wine. You have tannins, you have the oak flowing through, you have the flavors, you have the dry extract, you have this. It's a wine that speaks, right? So it's a wine that speaks, but as you said, exactly, just if you want to have a little bit more of gears and go a little bit extra mile, one of the questions is actually the Grand Reserve Shiraz. Yes,
Yes.
that was a big boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was fortunate to work with one of the best vineyards in the region, the Lane.
Yes.
It's on the Parkway to
Dawn and
Michigan.
Elaine Triggs. No?
Excuse me.
It stands for Dawn and Elaine Triggs.
Yeah, that's it.
I love their wines. Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that was really one of the best sites to grow Shiraz in Niagara. Massive. Never went wrong. Never went wrong. Very, very good Shiraz. That's another guy that I have a 2007 the Lane Shiraz in the basement, and it's still great. We made the 2010 Grand Reserve Shiraz. Dynamite. I open it and it's still very fresh. It's still very. It still screams for aging, And again, it depends how you like the reds, right? So, and let's go back a little bit to my roots here. When I did my sommelier course back in Italy, obviously we were benchmarking our big reds as the big Brunellos or Barolos or some of the Montepulcianos or some of the longer aged Chiantis or whatever. But these are all wines that sometimes, some of them, when you go to the Riserva, Gran Riserva, they're illegal to sell before 5 years because that's what the DOCG sells you. You need to age them for so long, blah, blah, blah. So obviously when they were coming on the market, you were benchmarking the flavor in your head. It was always something a little bit more evolved than cassis or red fruit or cherries or maraschino cherries. It was more a little bit of dry fruit, dried mushrooms, figs, and underbrush. And so that's a great thing. So me as a taster, as a consumer, not just as a winemaker, when I look at my reds, I should say that if I see the potential in a red, like the GR Shiraz that we're talking here on the chat, I would keep it aging because that's where I enjoy the most. Lovely wine when it came out after a couple, we age it usually a couple years in barrels. It came out, beauty, drink it. But it's a wine I kept a couple of cases down in the basement because I knew that me personally, for my liked tastings, I would have more welcomed that kind of flavors, that evolution. But again, then you speak with somebody else, my wife, for example, nope, I like it fruity, I like it phenolic, I like it strong, I like it right now, and that's the thing. But again, the wine is good when you actually like it. When I hear, do you think it will be better now or age in 10 years? It's all I can tell you. I believe that the wine can stand the 10 years aging, my opinion. However, how you like it is really, really up to you. And Teresa, you make a good point here when you talk about food pairing, right? I mean, what you're pairing with a wine that just is 2 or 3 years old, you grab the same wine 10 years later, and you're not going to have the same food. Nope. You might definitely go with a different kind of, but absolutely different. Stunning. Both, you know what, both will be a phenomenal experience really to mark on, but it's just about the experience. So it's about what journey do you want to enjoy, right? So that's probably where it goes. Yeah. The residual sugar on the signature red is around 12. Okay. And, because Tracy was
and of course we did a very safe pairing with the cheddar cheese, but you have to understand with our club, when we meet live, we always have a cheddar cheese with our last red, or cheddar cheese and usually dark chocolate with our last red.
Nice.
We just kind of separated it tonight, the cheddar cheese with the red, and we're so delighted to have an ice wine tonight, and so that's everyone must have their dark chocolate in our club. So there are many things that we could have paired with the ice wine, but yeah, they're anyway. So the Vidal ice wine.
Well, I mean, there's, I don't think I will be done by tomorrow morning if I have to keep talking about ice wine. I would just say,
Canada.
I would like just to say that us as an industry, and you guys are industry because you enjoy wine, you enjoy food pairing. You go home and you crack a bottle of wine because it makes you feel better. You guys are we are all industry. It's not just who makes the grapes or who makes the wine or the sell it. Everybody's industry, because we're all ambassadors of what Niagara has done, what the Canadian wine industry has done in the last 30 years, and that's crazy. The guys that started this industry, they're still alive. I was at the phone with Donald Zirato this weekend, just talk about stuff, and rest in peace, Carl Kaiser. But they're there. I never met a guy that started the industry in Italy or France or somewhere else, right? So we are leaving a legacy here. We are writing a piece of history of the wine industry, all of us. Anytime you buy wine, you buy VQA wine. Every time you taste it, every time you share it, anytime you bring it to your house in Florida or wherever you go, you are writing a piece of the history, because 300 years from now, they will talk about the people that they start this industry, as well as the people that help them promoting it. And and you know what? The ice wine has been the first key. It's been the first business card for the Canadian industry around the world. And that's the reason why I came. I should say, when I did my sommelier course, I started in 1998, and the first year, there are 3 years. The first year you learn the wine regions, Italy, and then all around the world. And then there was a page and a half. I'm generous. I tell you 2 pages. I have it actually here in my library, actually, in front of me. And there were 2 pages about Canadian wine industry, and there was just ice wine in scaling, game over. Then in 1998 I graduated, and then in 2002 I leave. I go to in Argentina, and as I came here in Canada to work for Athene Scaling, as Donald. We knew, and they asked, can I come to do an internship? Then I ended up staying here, looks like. But I always enjoyed to do a trip back home in Italy every year. And when I was saying what I was working, they said, oh, working in Canada, making ice wines. And then eventually, the year later, it was coming, where do you work, in Niagara or in Okanagan? And then I started getting curious, and like, it's not that big of an industry that I export that much. How comes you guys are so knowledgeable about the wine industry? And then they say, okay, now you make the Pinot Noir and the Sauvignon Blanc and the sparklings from Niagara. So that buzz, it started, make me curious. So 2005, a good friend of mine flies over to come to see me, wine connoisseur, not a winemaker, and he's a sommelier. And he said, listen, Marco, I need to bring home some bottles because I'm doing a tasting about sweet wines. So I wanted to have a portfolio of products. So now I give you a couple of bottles of ice wine. Well, bring them on. So why do you have to come all the way here to get the ice wine? So can you get it there? No, it's difficult. Well, if you have ice wine, go to Germany or Austria. I say, no. These people are paying a lot for their tasting, so we need to show the best. And that, I said, show me the book, show me the AIS, the Associazione Italiana Sommelier book, what they're doing. 15, 20 pages about Canadian wine industry within a few years. And that puts a massive statement of what this industry has done. And again, when I speak about the industry, I don't speak about only the wine growers and the winemakers. I speak about the schooling, the people that train the winemakers here. I think about the wine ambassadors, people like you guys, that they like to wine, that enjoy wine, that they do this, they sell wine, and they go out there to speak about the wine. And that's massive. That an industry in such a small period of time, which in a small amount of grapes that we are producing here, 80,000 tons this year, which is probably what a medium winery in Italy produces, with so small, in such a small period of time, could become so famous all around the world with one product. Ice wine. It's massive. It's important. It's a legacy to the entire industry. And you know what? You can never go wrong. When they say, is the best vintage for ice wine? It's like, yeah, of course, vintage affects quality of ice wine. Can be a little bit phenolic, a little bit more like dry figs rather than apricots or cooked apples or whatever you want to go in the details here now. But yeah, obviously, and thanks God, there is difference in vintage after vintage. Otherwise, you buy an ice wine forever keep. That's what amuses us as a consumers to go there like, hey, how was the vintage this year, right? That's a beautiful talk. Ice wine obviously is affected, but it doesn't matter how good or bad the harvest can go. Sometimes you hear, holy cow, this year was awful for Chardonnays, or last year was horrible for Bordeaux. You will never hear was horrible for ice wine. Every year you consistently deliver an extremely high-end product. This is what money. You pay money for this product a lot, especially when it goes 187, 200 mil, 375s. So the demand, so the consumers are picking on it, fairly so. You put 60, 70, 80 bucks or 300 bucks in a restaurant for a bottle of ice wine, you expect it perfect. I would expect it perfect. And you've never go wrong. Guys, it's incredible because honestly, it's, as I said, since 1995 that I'm in this industry, and I work in different parts of the world, and there's no many industries that can actually, there are, but there's not very many that can tell something that we have done, like Niagara. As I said, a small little gem in the world that became so famous so fast with one product. Many other industries are talking about hundreds of thousands of tons and export every year, right? So I'm extremely proud of being part of this industry and promoting the ice wine around the world anytime I can, anytime. And it's it's something that is definitely beautiful. And you know what the crazy thing about the ice wine is, talk about aging here. Ice wine, you pick it in, let's pretend, you pick it in December, January, February, whatever it is. Make say, just for the sake of the math, you're picking it in January. There we go, January, love January. And then eventually you pick it, fermented, all your funny things. April, so 3, 4, unless you age it in barrel, Bruce Nicholson is killing us, not this one. Oh, no, wait a minute, let me check. This is not the oak age, no. Bruce Nicholson is killing us a portion of years that is aged in that barrel, but let's pretend we stick there. You can drink it after 4 or 5 months of picking. May, yeah, we can fairly say that in May, that Vidal that you pick in January is ready for drinking. Phenomenal wine, ready, bingo. Right there, you can have your food pairings, you can have your dark chocolate with it, whatever. Then eventually you go back after 10, 15 years. That's still an extremely great product to taste. There's not a lot of wines that can do that. Or every single wine that we taste right now, after 5 months, I don't think so. The Pinot Noir and the Signature Red, after 5 months, you have to give them a little bit of time. You need to give them some time to get it. And probably still young. Can you taste it after 15, 20 years? Maybe not, as we discussed earlier with Teresa. So it's a very prestigious product. So, yeah. So the only, I'm laughing because I made one of the concept. You know what? One time, well, I don't want to say that. One time they asked me, Marco, why is ice wine so expensive? I'm like, because you have me picking it at -15 outside. That's why I charge you more. Like, and they always say, hey, Marco, you're coming from the North Italy, it's cold up there. Yeah, well, listen. When I learned the translation from English to Italian, from Italian to English of freddo, cold, in the dictionary is like below 0. Yeah, thank you. This is so, and I love it. Obviously, I love it. But it's definitely a great experience. Yeah, the picking is kind of difficult. It's not something that is really strong. Yeah, and it's not that easy. But again, it's just a legacy and a testament of what.
And it's truly Canadian.
Yeah.
Truly Canadian, from Niagara, something we can all be very, very proud of, eh? And it's delicious.
Yeah, it's a great wine. Yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
Okay. Are there any more, Angela or Marilyn, are there any more questions for Marco? Should we just sip our ice wine?
Well, I think, we're coming up on 9 o'clock and we've kept just about everyone in the room, which I think is remarkable. And thank you so much for staying with us as we move to this new format. Marco has been answering questions as you go, so thank you so much for that. I think, Teresa, it'd be great just to wrap everybody up and tell them what's ahead for next month.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, Marco, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm not sure you knew exactly what you were getting into here, but we're certainly an enthusiastic group. So Marco, I thank you, Arterra Wine and the Wine Rack. So Lola and Jeff provided the growers and the ice wine and some of the other wines. Volunteers, so co-hosts Angela, Marilyn. Morag wasn't able to join us tonight, but Angela and Marilyn, thank you very much. I would not be able to do this without you guys. The food and wine kits. So Marco, unfortunately you were way out in Niagara, so we weren't able to get you a food and wine kit, but all the wine pairings, the food pairings were provided in a bag for each of the participants in the video tonight. And they were put together in my backyard, but at 5 separate stations. So we were all safely distanced. And Dorothy, Lorraine, Kathy, Carl, and Anne, thank you so much. You guys were great. They put everything together. And then of course, everything was delivered to Marilyn's place and picked up. Tomorrow, so first of all of these wines are available at the Wine Rack. So if you just want to go to a wine rack and pick up any of the wines, go for it. If, on the other hand, you would like to have the wines delivered and you want to pick up a set of wines from Maryland's, you can do that. Angela will send out an order form tomorrow, and so you can pre-order. And I will send out the recipe for the asparagus salad as well. Do check out the promotions page for specials, and Wine Rack, Marco, Arterra. If you've got any specials or things that you would like us to post for our members, please let us know, because we have a page just for specials from you guys. And we only promote folks that have been to the Burlington Wine Club. And next month, we have Hobson Company, international wines, and wine and food pairings for pickup again. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the evening.
Well,
Anyway.
I think it would be fun, Teresa. I'm just going to I'm going to count you down, everyone. I'm going to count you down in 5, and I'll unmute you. If you could raise a glass with whatever liquid you have to say thank you to Marco and Teresa for bringing this evening to us. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Stay safe. Cheers.
Hope you don't have far to drive home.
Grazie a tutti.
Grazie a voi. Buona serata.
Grazie a tutti.
Ciao.
Buonasera.
I've got a phone and a computer on at the same time.
I know.
Grazie Marco.
I'll review.
Grazie.
Imagine.
Grazie.
Buonasera.
We're on
If anyone wants to stay on the chat, go for it.
Not really.
No.
Not really. Not particularly.
Can
It was fun.
Thank you, Teresa.
Very welcome.
Bye.
Thank you all for coming.
Bye.
Ciao.
Stay well.
Yep, you too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. See you later.
One more wine.
Bye.
Take care.
I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. I guess I should leave. I'm just sitting at the wine rack.
Angela.
Usually bored.
Marco?
Excuse me? Say again? Sorry, I thought it was a question. Sorry.
It was a
I
question.
heard my name, that's why.
Yeah.
Stay on for a bit.
Yeah, you can stay on for a bit if you like.
Yeah, just to say hello to everybody and then we go.
Marco, do you have the data notes that you could share via email?
Yeah, if you send me an email,
Yeah.
I'll send you all the data, everything you want, as well as if any of your guests, they have further questions later on, you have my email, so they can funnel the questions through you, send them to me, and I can answer anything you want when you want, because maybe a lot of people, they go now like, oh, they go on their radio or whatever, but maybe, later on say, I should have asked this, I should have asked that. So if they can, if you want to collect them and send them to me anytime,
We'll funnel it through us for sure, and we'll send you a set of questions if they come in.
And listen, when life will open up again, I will be really, really thrilled and honored to have you guys down and take a tour to the winery, just to look at the Skillingen, Jackson Triggs winery. We'll go there. We'll sit down, have a little bit. You guys have cheese. I cannot eat cheese.
That would be lovely.
Cheese and wine, right? So.
When they open up, we have
think
people coming in groups. Like, right, in June, have people coming in small groups. Because it's tasting, it's wine, right? It's not food.
Yeah.
I'm
in June, they think in June we'll start opening up.
Oh, please, because I love going there.
Yeah. You guys been there?
My mother lives in the backyard, basically, and I listen to the concerts from her porch.
Okay. Yeah, they're not going to do the concert series this year, obviously.
No, that will be.
But going to inside in groups, separated, that would be good for business and just for everybody else.
I think it'll be a little while before we have an organized tour out there from the club, I think.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wait.
They're going to start with outdoor tastings, if anything. Right. So if you have an outdoor space in one of the wineries, you're going to be able to do some sort of tastings at some point.
Yeah, I think so. This year, I think so. They're going to open up.
Well, I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
And on that positive note.
Yeah. Nice to see everybody.
Great to see everybody.
On top of
Have a good night, guys. Thanks again for having me. Thanks again.
Ciao. Ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thanks, Marco.
Ciao.
Hello.
Ciao.